fitness coach. I help people how to be fitter and lead healthier lives. Most of the people I teach and train are adults because adults pay more money. No, the sad reality is that we feel the effects of aging and our health slowing down only as we get older. And that's when we realize we need to do something about it. It's never too late, but it's just so much more tougher and issues get so much more complicated by the time we get older. That's why I want to talk to all of you today about something that I am very passionate about. It's exercise for children. You know, how do you imbibe healthy habits and mindfulness as a family? There's been a lot of research on all kinds of exercise. So I want to start the first part of my talk by sharing some of these research with you and what they have to say about the benefits of exercise overall and their effects on children and on adults. It appears that exercise stimulates brain growth. We've heard this a lot. It boosts cognitive performance. It helps kids focus. It may make it easier for kids to learn and achieve. So when adults create environments that prevent kids from being active, you're slowing them down. It's detrimental. It might be detrimental to not just their physical ability, but also to their academic performance. How do we know all this? Lessons from mice. Salk Institute, there was a doctor called Henriette van Praag. So recently she's published her studies on this subject, and she compared sedentary mice with mice that ran an average of 6 kilometers each night on a running wheel. Compared with the sedentary mice, the mice that exercised showed dramatic brain growth, especially in a part of the brain called the hippocampus. This is a region that's associated with learning and memory, and this was twice as large as compared to the sedentary mice. In addition, the brain cells of the aerobic mouse could sustain longer bouts of long-term potentiation. That's the increased communication between neurons. Once a neuron fires, they keep firing and they talk to other neurons in the head. So this improves dramatically with exercise. So do these changes translate into better learning too? Yeah, they do. Mice who exercise perform better on spatial learning tasks, going through a maze. They put them in water mazes, all kinds of complex mazes. Mice that were fit performed better. Their brains were working better. They were making better decisions. Why does it work? One of the conclusions is exercise is known to improve mood. All kinds of hormones are released that make us feel calm, happy, reward sensations. And mice that feel better make better decisions. This simple logic could be true for adults and humans as well. And why does this sound plausible? It's that there's a lot more going on here. Some research from the 90s has revealed that exercise boosts brain-derived neurotropic factor. You don't have to remember any of these. I'm just trying to make it sound very complicated. It's a substance that's essential for the growth of brain cells. It stimulates neurogenesis, birth of new neurons, mobilizes the expression of genes that are believed to enhance brain activity, and my favorite bit, it improves neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is this really new concept that the neuroscience world is coming to terms with, is that the brain is a very flexible, dynamic organ that stays plastic and changeable throughout its existence. So you're never really a slave to your habits. Your brain can change any point in your life. And exercise prevents the loss of brain tissue in older adults. So what about kids? Much of what we know from our research is what we've done with mice. But they did some experiments also with children, similar. So they put 200 kids in a room, tied them to a treadmill, made them run 50 kilometers a day. No, it wasn't that severe, but they did similar experiments with children in very controlled and safe environments. All those kids are alive. So what happened? One randomized control study of overweight kids found that 40 minutes a day of aerobic exercise improved executive function, which is the aspect of intelligence that helps us pay attention, plan, and resist distractions. Some kids were asked to view images of animals and make quick judgments about them. Is it a cat? Is it a dog? Physically fit kids had faster reaction times, and their brain showed more evidence of extensive processing. All the neurons in their brain lit up in a much more aggressive and a more complete manner. So this shows that exercise not only helps you focus better, but it helps you recruit all of your mental capacity. Studies also show that these kids who exercise can do something very unique which most of us can't do, which is filter out task irrelevant things. That's distractions. As adults, as kids, we all have the same issue. We keep getting distracted again and again, and the hyper pace of our lives doesn't help. So physical activity showed that kids are able to focus better and keep themselves from getting distracted. And it also showed similar results in their hippocampus. It grew a lot. Not twice the size, but they had larger volume of brain cells in their hippocampus. So what these experiments reveal about the cognitive benefits of exercise for kids. Kids who ordinarily performed poorly on attention tasks improved their accuracy when tested shortly after 20 minutes of walking on a treadmill. And another experiment assigned 56 school kids to one of 3 morning sessions. This is interesting. Some of them sat all morning. Some of them spent all morning sitting and got one 20-minute break. And there was another group that sat for 90 minutes but had a physically active warm-up in the morning, and in between 90 minutes they had another 20-minute break. So the kids who got 2 breaks of morning and intermittent exercise performed better on a test of attention. What about ADHD? This is a very taboo term here, but the reality is that a lot more of us deal with ADHD as kids and adults, and it's growing very fast. Unfortunately, we don't recognize it here. But the simple thing is that ADHD in adults and adolescents sets in usually because brain cells are slowing down and the reward hormone, dopamine, is not shooting out. So when this reward hormone is not shooting out, you don't find interest in anything. You pick something up and you get bored. You move to something else and you move to something else. Easy way to shoot some dopamine into the mind is go for a jog. So exercise helps with things which are pretty complex, such as ADHD as well. Okay, here's another study. A recent randomized study of more than 220 children found that kids engage in 60 minutes of daily activity after school aerobic activities perform better on tests of focus and cognitive flexibility, the ability to switch between tasks while maintaining speed and accuracy. So very particular mind functions developing with simple physical activity. Physical activity yields short-term and long-term benefits on achievement in the classroom. For instance, one experiment found that a 20-minute session of walking boosted children's subsequent performance on tests of reading, spelling, and arithmetic. Another study found that kids who exercised 10 to 20 minutes prior to a math test outperformed kids in the sedentary control group. And the long term, one study found that kids showed improved math skills after a 13-week exercise program, and Other research also indicates similar benefits. One more experiment, 67 kids were assigned to 4 sessions each week of high intensity exercise. After 4 months, these kids performed better than kids on tests of cognitive ability and earned higher grades in school. Kids assigned to less intense workout showed no improvements over the kids in the control group. This reveals quite a bit. More recently, kids who were assigned a daily schedule with more physical activity breaks outperformed their control group peers in math and reading. So all the results from all these experiments, these are just one person's experiments. There are thousands more. They all point out to the benefits and the necessity of increasing physical activity, which is striking if we consider that recess breaks, PT, games, sports breaks are all considered as time away from academics. We separate these two very clearly. One is a negative, one is a positive. Whenever schools allocate more time for physical activity, they tend to see cognitive improvements. And the worst case scenario is that kids who have increased physical activity levels, their grades don't improve, but their health does. But we haven't seen any experiments where grades fall. The disclaimer here is that exercise should be fun. In these experiments, there were mice that were forced, kept hungry, made to run. They showed no benefits, actually their health deteriorated. So this element of fun has to be there in whatever physical activity you are encouraging your kids to do, or for yourself. So the science is pretty clear. All of this is good for you. This brings me to the next part of the talk, which is how do you incorporate these healthy habits into your life, and why is keeping it fun important? The first step is reprioritizing. We need to ask ourselves this question. At what point in our life did we become serious people? If we introspect, we'll see that around the same time that we became serious is also the same time where our health starts declining. All our sporting activities start slowing down. So we end up favoring the mind instead of the body. So our mental capacity speeds up, physical capacity slows down. So this is a question we need to ask ourselves. Why and when did we become serious? The simple truth is that if your health is bad, nothing else matters. So I often ask myself this question, and I've been asking this to myself for the past 10 years, every day, that can I name one thing that is more important than my health? And it's a serious question. You have to think about it. Is there one thing that you can do if your health is not in your control? I draw blanks. If you can come up with one thing or anything, please, you should let me know. But so far, I'm convinced that there's nothing you can do if your health is not on your side. Your academic, professional, even spiritual fulfillment depends on your health being on your side. So that's where we need to reprioritize our health. Think of how much time you spend every day on things which are non-health and things which are health. How much time do you spend a day on your work and catching up with TV shows and talking to friends and doing all these things that are fun, but they don't have that much of a health benefit. So that is a very clear indicator of where our priorities lie. And as adults, if we don't prioritize our health, that's the example you set. Watching sport is not a sport. Just clarifying that, yeah. So, what can we do? assigning an hour a day of physical activity is great, but it's still not enough. It's still mechanical. We need to make this a part of our life routine and easier, fun. The adults in the family have to lead. They have to encourage their kids to pursue sports, to pursue physical activities, to not be afraid of injuries. Kids are not afraid of injuries, their parents are. That's a fact. Right? You have to educate yourselves first as parents on good nutrition. We are usually at a loss for when it comes to good nutrition. You know, we believe good nutrition means if it says diet on it, if it says low calorie on it, it's good nutrition. But it's a lot more deeper than that, and we eat every day. So if at school, obviously, they're not teaching our kids about good nutrition. At home, they need to learn. And it becomes the parents' responsibility to be educated on good nutrition. Learn to meditate as a family. So this is the mindfulness part of this whole thing. That if you as a family want to grow together, the first thing you need to share with each other is this empty, silent space. From there, everything arises. So how do you incorporate meditation into your daily life? Meditation it's simple. It's playing sports, going for jogs, going on a long walk, sitting watching a sunset. Sitting watching in front of TV is a kind of meditation, but the TV is leading your thoughts. So if you sit in front of the TV with the TV off, that's great meditation. Yeah? It's simple. So this is how we can teach ourselves and convince our kids that they need to respect their health. If we start respecting our health, our mind, our body, and our peace of mind, our kids will want to do the same. We won't bring up irritated, angry adults, right? You guys all live in Dubai. I can't imagine anybody is not irritated and angry here. And most importantly, if kids are in good health, we can teach them this very great thing that only kids do, that is use their curiosity to seek adventure. Sounds dangerous, why would you tell your kid to seek adventure? But only captains who are not trained are afraid of stormy seas. But if the mind and body have been mentally, emotionally, and physically well conditioned to accept and as well seek challenges, that mind and that body grows. That mind, that body leads. So seeking new things is something only a healthy mind and a healthy body can do. So let's talk now just about mindfulness. There are lots of complex explanations for or definitions for what mindfulness is. I have a very simple definition of mindfulness. Mindfulness is your ability to delay your reaction. Right? Something happens, you can respond or you can react. Reaction is instant, response is delayed. So when you're driving, somebody overtakes you fast, you can react and shout, or you can slow down and delay your reaction and notice what's going on around you, and then decide, is your reaction necessary or not? Usually it isn't. So this is a mindfulness practice. It's as simple as that, delaying your reaction. But this takes practice. The same way a muscle, the more you work it out, gets stronger. The mind gets stronger the more you rehearse and practice things that you would like it to do. And the most important thing that we want the mind to do is to listen to us, to be in our control. And as it's as simple, mindfulness is as simple as breathing. Breathing comes naturally. Breathing is your vehicle to mindfulness. By putting your awareness into your breathing, you end up grounding yourself into the stillness that your breath brings. And you're able to enjoy that peace for the moment of that breath. The thoughts, your frantic thoughts for a moment stop, because everything is focused on that breath. And you have your breathing on you, available to you, always. You will always have your breathing available to you. That's your good luck charm. You have to learn to use your breathing as something you touch or feel, and you know that if I'm breathing well, I can be calm. Breathing can be used to really anchor yourself into stillness. And that's a skill, it's a very fine skill that helps everyone. So I want to try a breathing experiment here. It's very simple. We'll all do it together. We take 3 deep breaths. All you have to do is take a nice slow inhale and then a nice slow long exhale. Take your time with each inhale and take your time with the exhale. Let's do this 3 times. Let's take a deep inhale. And when you're ready, exhale. Again, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, slow. Exhale. And you see, for that brief moment, for those seconds, your awareness was nowhere else. Everything fades out, and you're with your breath. All your issues from work, school, home, health, whatever they are gone. Just for that brief moment. And in that brief moment, your mind gets a chance to be mindful of itself, to notice what's going on. Take a break. Our mind doesn't get a break. When we're sleeping, we're dreaming. The mind doesn't get a break. So this is the best way to give it a break, and it teaches you and your mind that I'm in control. When I breathe, you shut up. This simple thing, whenever you feel you're anxious, whenever you're nervous, whenever you're overexcited, whenever you're in pain, this mindfulness practice benefits a human being in all aspects. I want to give you guys some tips about how you can be mindful at home and as a family. We're always picking our kids and convincing them to be faster in how they recall information, in making decisions, in efficiency, in time management, all of these things. But we never teach them how to slow down. How do you slow your mind down? And if this is taught to young minds, it becomes very second nature. You're going to create an individual who doesn't get disturbed, who doesn't get traumatized, which are very important, because disturbances and traumatize scar minds and leave permanent distortions. Mindfulness, simple breathing exercise, prevents, protects, and develops the mind in all kinds of ways. Here are some easy ways to get started. You can take on a family mindfulness challenge. When you role model the mindfulness you want to see in your children, they understand it on a whole new level. So give it a try at home with yourself first. Sit on a chair, on a floor, somewhere easy, somewhere comfortable without distractions. And put your timer on, a reverse timer, for 5 minutes. And all you have to do is sit in that place without moving for 5 minutes. That's your mindfulness challenge. If you can spend 5 minutes without moving, without talking, all you have to do is listen to what's going on around you. No need to process anything. This simple technique is mindfulness and forms the pathway to meditation. There are lots of apps, YouTube videos, which you could just play. They play nice ambient sounds or have a hypnosis video talking, and they help you drift away from everything for a little while. It's very important to do this. This conditions and relaxes the mind. Choose a mindfulness corner. We have a punishment corner. We can have a mindfulness corner. It could be in a bedroom, anywhere you like, but a designated space where you know in your house that space is free of distractions, and anybody can go there whenever they need to take a break from it all. set a time. Build a ritual that once a day we will all get together, either in our meditation space, in our mindfulness corner. It could be your dining table. That's your mindfulness space. All of you sit there at a certain time and do nothing. That's all. 5 minutes, nothing. If you practice moments of calm, it makes going to that calmness in times of stress easier. You can have mindful mornings. Mornings especially we get up and, as soon as you're out, I need coffee, up, get the mind kick-started. But the best way to kickstart the mind is actually ease it into your day. The mind works on different wavelengths. So to get it from sleeping wavelength to waking wavelength, you need to progress it, not throw it. So we could have a small mindfulness ritual in the morning. Something as simple as you get up in the morning and you have a 2-minute yoga routine or a 2-minute stretch routine, just you and yourself. And you encourage your kids to do the same, that you get up in the morning before you do anything. In ancient Indian culture, there's this concept of Surya Namaskars, which I'm fascinated by them because they're great. Nowadays, we are all deficient in vitamin D, and we're deficient in peace of mind, and we're deficient in good health. Surya Namaskar fills all of those things. So we have lots of tools, lots of information, lots of things available to us. We need to use them. And most importantly, parents need to be mindful with discipline. Because, as a parent, you have to discipline your child. No matter what anybody says, that it's not good for your kids, you're not a nice guy. No. Only parents understand how important discipline is, but discipline has to be mindful, non-confrontational discipline. That's what we call it. If you see discipline as a teaching rather than confrontation, then the first step is pausing enough to be mindful of what your child is feeling. You can communicate comfort to your child so that your child feels safe and open. Communicate to your child at their eye level. Get down and ask them what they want to tell you. And then validate them by telling them, yes, I understand how hard it is for you. Children need somebody who understands what they're going through, especially when things are not going right. Listen rather than lecture. Breathe when you're trying to discipline your child. Redirect. After you understand what's happening internally to your child, you can determine what you want to teach and how best to do it. For example, you may want to say, if you get your rest now, you won't feel tired at school tomorrow. Would you like to read one more book and then we can tuck you in so you can go to bed? Easier said than done. If we have to do this day in, day out, how are you going to remember this and be calm yourself? Well, then it goes for you as well, that you need to take out some time, be mindful, do some meditation, and calm yourself down. All it takes is 3 to 4 breaths before you start disciplining your child. Share your mindfulness experiences. The more you and your child practice mindfulness, the more natural it becomes. You will draw on it in all occasions, when you're driving, when you're at work, and every time you experience an incident where you were able to recall your mindfulness, take a pause before reacting, and then actively remember how it helped you, come home and share that experience with your family, that, today my boss was shouting at me and I was going to take my stapler and stick it on his head, but I calmed down. My boss didn't go to hospital. This is an exaggeration, obviously, but most smaller incidents in our life that we regret happen because we reacted too fast. And it's something that we need to teach our children and ourselves, that don't react, respond. Take your time and assess. Use your mind. If we do these simple things of improving physical activity, better nutrition, and being mindful of ourselves, we'll inspire our kids, we'll inspire the next generation who, in my opinion, have the toughest struggle mankind has ever faced, right? We're really at an environmental and economical threshold right now. We're at the stepping point. We need to develop strong kids, resilient kids, but also calm, healthy, intelligent kids. As adults, if we start doing this for ourselves, we'll inspire our children to do the same in more ways than they can imagine. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope I see you all